Good morning. Let's adjust my I come to this little spot in our bedroom to do my lives, and I'm at a different time right now, and the sun is coming in my window. We don't have blinds up here, you guys. So all right, welcome. I'm gonna see if my friend Olivia is here yet. There. Having a great Monday. Whew, I jumped out of the shower. I thought I did my hair. It's looking a little crazy. So give a heart in the comments if you are having a great start to your week. We always want to be thinking positive. There she is. Oh my goodness, this is going to be so much fun. How are you?
I am well. I am well. So good to see you, Susan.
Yes. Oh goodness. I love it. You're all bundled up. It's chilly here, but not as chilly as it is for you. What?
Yes,
Tell me
well,
the temperature.
that is the way. I'm gonna guess it's around like -7 Celsius, which would be, well, if 0 Celsius is 32 Fahrenheit anyway.
So like in the 20s. Yes.
Yes,
A little
yes.
chilly.
And I'm American, and I still cannot wrap my mind around the conversion rate here.
Yeah, I would think I would struggle with that too. So, well, awesome.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
I'm excited
Mhm,
because we're going to talk. We have some questions that people jumped in, but I thought we would just kind of
mhm,
chat because it's been so lovely, even though I don't have little people in my
mm,
home anymore, right? But I am a yaya, and so I love being able to keep some of these things that you share and strategies and just
mm,
practical tips in the back of
mm,
my mind for when I'm interacting with my granddaughter, because it's been a while since
mm,
I
mm,
have been in that phase. So so this is going to be a really fun conversation, and one of the things that I have loved about
mm.
you, right, is your gentle spirit and your willingness to share the
Mm,
vulnerable moments, because I think
mm,
that's what draws people in, right? Not that we can give instruction and tips, but then they actually see it in action, and
mm,
then we admit when we don't meet our own expectation,
mhm,
right? So anyway,
mhm,
so that was a
mhm.
lot right there, but I wanted my audience to know
Yeah.
why I would even want to, bring you here and have a conversation. So
Mm,
um
mm.
yeah,
Well,
so
thank you, Susan. Thank you. I'm touched. I'm honored to be here and it really is just like you're a little fly on the wall with the social media
right.
kind of aspect of things, right? You don't see it all, but you get to see some of those insider things. And whenever I think of you, Susan, your content, your page, your genuineness, I can't help but think like this woman spends time with Jesus. Like there's
Mm,
just like a comfort, a calm, a radiance about you. And so I'm always so encouraged because I think that's an example we need to see in what's to come when we are that Nana or Yaya, when we can still passionately pursue Jesus and enjoy taking care of our homes and enjoy homemaking even in
right.
a different stage of life when our kids have grown up. So thank you for setting that example because I think we need that. Our generation needs that.
Oh,
If we haven't,
yeah.
say, had that in our own home, or say we're first generation Christians as millennials now raising kids. So thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so
Hmm.
that it just
Mm,
just in the last few weeks, especially, I've just noticed that more and more people, they don't have
hmm,
somebody in their life that they're learning from that will
hmm,
be a positive, right, learning
hmm,
experience. And so for that, I am grateful for social media, right? There's a lot
hmm,
of, things that can be said that are negative, but in my experience, it's just really been so positive. And I think it goes to show, right? We don't have to fall victim to putting our space or ourselves in that space of
hmm,
social media and following people, right? We need discernment and we need to
hmm,
be wise. Who are you going to
hmm,
let into your circle? Because those people will have influence on you. And I think it's
hmm.
really, really, you have to be very intentional. So, yeah, you are
Mhm, mhm,
spot
yes.
on. So yeah,
Mm.
okay. So let's
Oh,
jump
yes.
in, but why don't you introduce a little bit about
Mm-hmm.
you here, and
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, and we'll just kind of have this
Yeah,
conversation.
absolutely. Sure, sure. So, I'm Olivia to all those joining. If you don't already follow me on the Not So Angry Mom, and that's a space where I share my story. I share a bit of my story. I'm a mom of four, just recently four. So I have an almost 8-year old, a 6-year old, a 4.5-year old, and then we had a big little space in there, and we have a 3-month old. So life is busy. I always say life is not hard right now. Three
Mhm.
under three, four under, four and under. That's a busy phase. That's a hard phase. At least it was for me. But now we're in kind of this sweet spot where life is busy, it's full, we're spinning plates, but we're really enjoying being in the baby phase and also this like older phase as well. But yes, I share on my page parenting for the little years. I share tools, real practical tools for mom anger, born out of my own story, born out of my own journey of overcoming a chronic struggle with toxic anger habits. And that was, anyhow, I'll go a little bit into that later, but then I also share just life as a pastor's wife, family and ministry, how our theology shapes our daily reality. So that's a little bit of what you would find if you're over and gleaning from that space. But as always, I always say take the meat and leave the bones because it won't be for
Right,
like not everything is for everyone, and that is just part of just social media, like you said, right? Like we can
right.
glean from different resources, but it doesn't mean every single thing will be match our season or
Mhm.
align with exactly how we do things. But the beauty is that we can adapt it to our home or maybe our unique struggle. And so, yeah, so 2 years ago, my sister had just said like, "Hey, have you heard anything about social media marketing and how people are sharing, reels and you follow this kind of format and apparently like it's going crazy type thing." And we have not needed a passive income to be, I guess, frank. And so I was like, the moment my sister said it, it was not like, ooh, can I make a lot of money? It was like, I need to share my story. Like I need to get this message out. And if there's a formula that's going to help me do it, then let me go. Well, this was September 2022, and Susan, I kid you not, it was like a fire lit within me, and I just started creating resources. I was burning the
You
midnight oil. I was up till 1 a.m., 2 a.m. And it was almost like this, I don't say this lightly, almost a supernatural experience of the fruit of a really difficult season in my life coming to a tangible, practical fruition for someone else in that position. So I have free resources. I have resources for affordable purchase, and the hope there is that those will reach the moms it needs to get to. And so far, it's been like a really cool, but also a wild journey of being online.
yes.
Right, comes with its highs and lows, and it's sacrifices too at times where you're preoccupied, maybe, or there's others who are maybe the one critical voice can sometimes stand out amongst the others.
Oh, of course,
Anyhow, I'll pause
right?
that there. But yes,
In
yes,
all of the
yeah,
things, yes. At our life group last night, we
yes.
were talking about that critical voice in us, and that is so not
Mm-hmm.
how Jesus sees us, and so just trying to keep that in check so often, right? And
Mm-hmm.
how do we do that? We go to His Word. I mean, that is like
Yeah,
we want to try to do it on our own, and we can't, and that's the whole point.
yeah,
And so, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's dive into a few questions because I
Yeah.
think that you just give such practical advice. So, okay,
Mm-hmm.
so some of the questions I got were regarding cleaning. So we're not
Yes,
going to cover those. That was
I saw
so
that. I
that was so
love that.
fun. But okay, so how about this one? How to respond to my 2.5-year-old who has started saying, "Don't me upset with me, mom." So obviously that
Mm-hmm.
the child is saying, "Don't get upset with me, mom," right? So if
Mhm.
you were having, that situation, or what would be your recommendation for a mom that was experiencing that?
Mm. Mhm, mhm. Anything I share really is, if I were in your shoes or when I was in your shoes. So
Right.
just to preface that. And I think any mom has probably been in this position where our kids are like, "Don't be mean. You're being mean. You're being firm."
Mm,
In my house, we make a distinction between being firm and being mean and unkind. And I help my children regularly to distinguish between the two. It's okay for mama to be firm. It's not okay for me to be mean and unkind.
mm,
And so, whenever those situations do arise, I use those terms with them. And so, maybe this child is saying, "Don't be upset with me. Why are you upset with me?" type thing. And let's say this mom was being firm, as I would say, but the child's receiving it as like, "Oh, mom is so angry," and being unkind. This mom could come and say, "Mama's not upset. It's my job to teach you. It's your job to listen and obey. It's my job to keep you safe and healthy. It's your job to trust me." And so mama's not being upset.
yeah.
Mom is being firm. Mom is being, well, that's just the word we use in our house.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find another adjective maybe, but helping the child distinguish. So then on the other side, if that mom, we've all been there, has been, mean or unkind and lashed out and truly is that ungodly upset, then we can own it. We
Yeah.
can own it. All of those weaknesses, all of that ugliness was already exposed on the cross, was already exposed when Jesus died for them. And so we have nothing to hide, nothing to get defensive over. We just come, we confess, we admit,
Yeah.
and we do that in two part. We do that with the child, and we do that with the Lord.
Mm,
God, I repent of my upset spirit. I've just this day I've really struggled with an upset spirit. I repent of this, and His Spirit will do that work in us. He
yeah.
will do that work in us, whether that's over the course of the day or over the course of our entire
Mm,
motherhood. Where say maybe this is a little bit of our thorn in the flesh,
yeah.
where we struggle in this area. Um, so that's an initial response, and then I'll just quickly add here. Um, it's okay for our kids to see us displeased, and it's okay for our kids to see us um, upset in a godly way.
Mm,
I think I was always so afraid to, raise my voice, right?
yeah.
I was so afraid because I thought, oh, every time I raise my voice, it means I'm being sinful with it or I'm shaming them. And I think if moms, especially the modern mom, freed herself to raise
Mm,
her voice and know you can do it in a godly way, I think she would be freed from a lot of that
yeah.
shame surrounding, like, I want to be gentle and calm with my kids, but also like, this starts first in a safety way, right? Child's running towards the road, we have to shout.
Right.
But this can also happen when, say, there's horseplay going on and it gets out of hand, right? It's okay for a child to see, oh, you know, mom means business.
Right.
And I think if we freed ourselves to do that as modern parents, we wouldn't be so conflicted.
Yeah.
Oh no, my child sees me as upset all the time. And that's just not the case.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's so good. I love that word firm, right? I'm being firm
Mm-hmm.
with you, and being able to really articulate those differences and having a word
Mm-hmm.
for that kind of different, I want to say emotion, but it's not just, maybe it's a different tone, right? And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
then the
yeah.
child will definitely recognize that at the more that we
Mm-hmm.
are consistent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Using those words
Mm-hmm.
of unkind and firm. And so I think that that is one
Mm-hmm.
of the things that I have admired about you, is that you
Mm-hmm.
are very good at sharing that. I love when you do, your reels or in your stories of, setting expectations with our kids. And I feel that was, I think, a turning point years ago, right? When I,
Mm-hmm.
had young children at home, was how are they supposed to know what behavior is expected of them unless we tell them? I think they're so often in parenting, we just take for granted, right? That we know as the parent, like we know what should be expected. Well, why on earth wouldn't my child? But you do this so well. So maybe give us like a recent example that you've had
Mm,
and why that this is so beneficial to invest that time before
mm,
going into a situation. I would love
mhm,
for you to
mhm.
expand on that.
Yeah, yeah. And this was born, this is kind of where my space exploded a little bit because I was going into a coffee shop with my 3-year-old and I just put my phone like in the coffee holder or the cup holder and just went over as we usually do, like a little pep talk before we went in. And really it caught on. And I think others were like, oh, you can do this? This is great. Or my parents did this with me growing up, just like you said. And so I just kind of kept doing that in a way that also protects my kids' privacy
Right.
and all that. But really, I think um, I was doing this before my struggle with mom anger and during it probably in some ways, although that was during COVID, so we really didn't go anywhere for a long time. And I kid you not, I probably didn't take all three of my children to Costco until 20 early 20, like late 2021. So it was a
Wow.
long time, 2 years. Um, and I've lost my train of thought, but I will get it back here.
Just
So yeah, I've
about,
done
yeah,
this
you
kind of,
going before going into that coffee shop and that you would,
yes,
yeah, have that
yes,
conversation.
yes, yes. But can we not all relate to that feeling of you're in a public space or you're at a friend's house or you're in a family member's event and it's just all going to pot, everything's hitting the fan and it triggers you. It makes you want to
Yeah.
lash out. It makes you want to just clamp down and control. You get here and you do this and get everyone in the car and read the riot act, which I do sometimes. I do, and I feel no shame for it sometimes. But to say do that in a way that just leaves you spiraling in shame, like I'm a terrible mom. We can't get it together. Well, this is something that takes seconds to do, and you can do in your own way before anything.
Yeah.
And so, of course, we don't want to be like talk, talk, talk ad nauseum to our children, but you could do it in an interactive way. For example, heading into a hockey game. So I'll give like a recent thing. Um, can someone tell me how we behave when we're in the rink? And then usually my littlest one will pipe up and say, no running, no foolish talk, no potty talk. Those are the things that stand out to her. And it's like, yes, absolutely, no potty talk, please, unnecessary. Um, but then, it's a little bit interactive that way. So I
Yeah.
start a sentence, they finish the sentence. Sometimes it's a lecture, sometimes we don't have time. We expect you guys to obey. If you don't obey, I will hold your hand. You will sit with me. We will leave the store. You will go in the cart. Um, and then say you're at the park. Okay, so now I'm kind of going off into another like parents meaning what they say. But anyway, I'll
Okay. No,
finish this
that's
thought.
okay. Good. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So what goes hand in hand with this is not just stating the expectations, but that kids know what to expect if it doesn't get followed. And it's very easy to throw out a threat. If you
Yeah.
don't do this, I'm going to do this. And we've all done it, and it's okay to take ownership for that. And I really didn't mean that I was going to take away shows all week. Let me take a step back and re-say that. But I'm still going to say something that I am going to mean and follow through with. So we're at the park and toddlers are, let's say someone's throwing sand repeatedly. And I've said, uh-oh, sand does not go in your friend's eyes. Do not throw the sand. If you throw the sand again, you're going in the stroller. And I'll maybe make sure I have eye contact with that child. Well, if the child throws sand again,
Right.
where's the child going? The child is going in the stroller, even if they kick and scream about it. I think the magic is in the follow through,
Yeah.
and it's magic for you and your child. You're not like, oh my goodness, you threw sand again. Like, it's just like, oh, I said, if my
Yeah.
child does it again, I know what I'm doing. I'm putting them in the stroller, and they know what they're doing. Uh-oh, I'm going in the stroller. And it's a really clear boundary for everyone. So you're not losing your cool all the time and your child knows you mean business and it gives them a healthy, healthy boundary. It does not take away their individualism. It
Mm-hmm.
actually allows them to thrive in community with
Right.
others because yeah, we were made for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, this is
Mm-hmm.
so good because years ago when I first started coaching and started my blog, 16 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I was certified as a parent coach, and I took several groups of moms through a book that I also had read and become certified to do coaching, was called Scream Free Parenting. I don't know if you've ever read that or seen that.
Mm-hmm.
Exceptional, but that concept is, we so often as parents, we throw out empty threats, and
Mm-hmm.
we then wonder why our children don't want to listen to us or obey. It's because we have um allowed them to not trust our word, because we throw out things and say this is going to happen, but then when their action
Mm-hmm.
meets that threshold,
Mm-hmm.
we don't follow through. And so I think, gosh, if there were some key components to kind of keep in our pocket as, not only moms, but, dads too, is
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
mean what you say and say what you mean. And if you throw, like you said, I love that you could come back and say, okay, you know what, mama said this. I said that out of anger. That was not,
Mm-hmm.
I was not okay saying that. And,
Mm-hmm.
apologizing to our kids for making mistakes in front of them, I think is huge, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that the whole concepts of the different pieces that you bring to the table is so relevant. It's like, oh, and where do you, I mean, it's just like me, right? With homemaking, where do you learn about how to be a parent? Like, and
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
it's so beautiful that, we have you as an
Mm-hmm.
example to just share
Mm-hmm.
ideas, right? And what may work for you, and I can
Mm-hmm.
take the pieces
Mm-hmm.
and put it in place for me. So yeah, I love
Yeah. Oh,
that.
I'm so grateful. And it really is like, I'm sitting here thinking this is just redemption from ashes because I was
Mhm.
raised in a loving Christian home and I did have lots of good examples around me. And then I started to notice patterns of like a critical spirit, controlling spirit when my husband and I started dating. And then it kind of started to unfold, that whole thought of like, I wasn't an angry person until I got married or had children. And then the crash and burn happened when my middle was 18 months and I had this other one. I was pregnant with a third and life seemed to just be crashing down. One of the questions I think today is like,
Yes.
it's just like toddler life all the time, like survival mode all the time. And I think there's a really real part to that we can't avoid. In a sense, you kind of have to, it's like the going on a bear hunt. Can't go around it, can't go over it. You have to go through it, but Jesus will be with you through it. It is an adventure and it's also a pilgrimage where it's going to feel hard. And I just want to validate that for any moms as well. But there is also this, he will equip us for all things for life and godliness. And so there is a way in which we can glean and fill our tool belt so we can, I don't want to say thrive, it's such a cliche thing, but we can be fruitful. We can be
Mhm.
fruitful. And part of that fruitfulness might actually come out of um, the suffering that is a component in motherhood, or a struggle with anger, or having to reconcile with a child over a really hurtful moment that you instigated. There we our economy with Jesus is different in that he will take those ugly hard things and will redeem them for good and
Yes.
for beauty. And so it's something we can cling to as moms who are in the trenches when it feels like this is all just going terribly and I'm the cause of it.
Mhm.
Well, we can trust God's allowance even of that, and
Right.
then start aligning with truth, filling our tool belt so we're equipped, and we do that through reading the Word of God, being plugged into a local church, and asking mentors, maybe like you and I. That would be more like if it's a circle, we'd be the outer
Yeah,
circle,
yeah.
but still happy to be that, and
Yeah.
hoping it does help. Because I can think of many in my bit wide outer circle, Sally Clarkson,
Yes.
who you had on a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
and others like her that I'm just like regularly gleaning from.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I know
Hmm.
something you said just, in my mind, just, it was like, I feel like marriage and parenting are so refining. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is how the Lord creates who he desires us to truly be. Is if life were so easy all the time, we would not become who he desires us to be. It is through those refining moments in, all of the things that we experience that just create who we are. Like I think of me now, almost 58, and how I parented at 30, or how I was in a marriage at 30. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for the hard things, but
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
difficult to see that right in the moment, but we can always look back, and most
Mm-hmm.
often we are able to see how he does redeem those situations, how we do grow from those
Mm-hmm.
situations that seem so difficult, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I want to cover one more question,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because I think this one is like, if anybody listening today goes away with one thing, I think I want it to be this. Can you talk about your all-in hour? Because this concept,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I even feel, even just having a 15-year-old at home, I'm like, oh, I need to implement this too. So why don't you share
Mm-hmm.
what that looks like and what it is in your home?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, yes. Well, um, so much of my parenting, for better or for worse, is oriented around this thorn in the flesh that I've mentioned. I mean, in many ways, I have healed and overcome from a struggle with mom anger. But given my unique personality, my unique weaknesses and triggers, there are ways in which I need to set up my day, set up my life so that I can be the mom that God is calling me to be. And so sometimes I look at my day and I look at the tips I'm sharing and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm such a high maintenance individual to need so many things to kind of set me up for success. But one thing I have said, like one of the biggest triggers I think for the modern mom or really any of us who are task oriented or we have access to smartphone is distraction and preoccupation. And these things are preoccupations, very normal thing. We have a lot going on, tens of thousands of decisions every day. But what if there was a time during the day where we just paused it all so that we can be available in mind, in physical presence, in our hearts for our children? And so I call that my all in hour.
I love
This was born out of those rough COVID years of just having little babies and feeling like there was always something to be done, or an escape, even always an escape somewhere. I did end up getting off of social media for a good 2 years in there, but um, during the all in hour, my friend and I kind of came up with this together. It would be a set aside time where it's 30 minutes or 2 hours, however it works for your day, where you are all in with your children. And the best thing you can do for that is to put your phone in a drawer, but then also to have a paper nearby because, there's going to be inevitably, oh, I have to text so and so. I never got back to them this morning, or I have to add parchment to the
Yeah.
Costco list. Um, and those things can be distracting. Here we are texting so and so again, it's just going to take me a second, and a little one
Yeah.
needs us, and
Yeah.
then yes, all that, right? So if there's a set aside time during the day where we can just be all in, it doesn't mean you're not doing household tasks, but it means you've set yourself up so that it's not like I have to switch the laundry during this time. So mine is between 4 and 6 p.m. during the school year. So as my children are coming home from school, I put my phone away. And at that point, I've staged my home as best I can, as much as a newborn allows. Um, and whatever that day allowed for, I stage my home. Dinner is like generally kind of prepped and ready to go. The house is tidy, lamps are lit, candles lit. There's soft music on. I usually have books displayed on the windowsill within reaching distance for little hands, something special for that child, your 15-year-old, right? Hot chocolate or something, protein hot chocolate. And just being fully available for that time. So it's staged and ready to go. I'm available. I'm not preoccupied. And then you just, it's set aside. It's protected,
Yeah.
and you almost virtually eliminate triggers that say you would be setting up for yourself. You can't change your children's behaviors, but you're at least fully available for them.
Yeah, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And staging. I see you doing this often in your stories. And so I'm
Mm,
like, I mean, I do some of that, but I think I could level
yes.
up
Yeah.
my game and my, I'm in a different season, so it looks a little bit different,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the
Mm-hmm.
bottom line when we choose to put our phone away and we are
Mm-hmm.
investing in a period of time which says to our children and even our spouse or whoever is there during that time, you are more important
Mm-hmm.
than this device that
Mm-hmm.
gives me a lot of other things, but you are
Yeah.
more important. And so when we can do that, I know somebody, I think it was Lisa, might have commented here, everybody, it
Mhm,
doesn't matter if you have
mhm.
children or not, what would this look like if you
Yeah.
chose a period during your day where you put your phone in a drawer? that
Mhm,
that that
mhm.
just wasn't, because if you think 20, 25 years ago, this was not
Yeah.
something we even had to have a discussion about, right? We had
Mhm,
phones on the wall. And if somebody
mhm.
called us, that was it. It wasn't
Yeah.
this constant draw to scroll, to be, stimulated from all of these other things. So,
Yeah. Even
yeah,
even like and banking, groceries,
yeah.
communicating with people, details. There's all it's funny, my Instagram saying, "You've reached your daily limit for today." Oh no,
Oh,
don't turn off.
oh
It
no.
won't. It won't. But
Oh, yes, because you
um
have your time set. That's a
yeah.
good.
Yeah, I can't, and full disclosure, I don't always follow that, but it's there. It reminds me. But yeah, there's so much done on that device that I think it can definitely just be like, okay, it needs to go away because it's useful, right? Like, I mean, I love my
Yeah,
smartphone, so podcasts, all
totally,
that.
totally. So,
Yeah,
all right. Well,
yeah.
as we wind up here, is there
Hmm.
something that you feel you would want to leave with those that joined us today that we didn't cover? Yeah.
Yeah, my heart is really for the mom struggling with an isolated, if you can hear the baby, she's just waking up. My husband's here. An isolating, maybe even secret, shameful struggle with sinful anger habits. I just want to extend a branch of hope that I know how you feel. I've been in your position where you've always dreamed of becoming a mom, and this is maybe your struggle, and it just feels yucky, it feels awful. You can't enjoy your children, you're not enjoying your motherhood. My heart is for them, and that's why I really sense that it's time to share your story, and that's who I want to be on this space, is the mom I was looking for. Is there anybody, pastor's wife, passionate Christian, who's still struggling with this icky thing? And so I'm living proof that there is hope to ever
Yeah.
overcome those habits by the power of Christ at work in you. But there definitely are steps to take to get there. And, sharing that ugly with a friend, bringing light and confession into sharing those details, and filling that tool belt with parenting strategies like we've talked about today, living in community so that you have accountability, so that you can not feel isolated and alone and ashamed in your struggle. Um, and yeah, just I'm living proof that beauty can come from ashes. Beauty can come from ashes, and this is my story and this is my song, and that's what Jesus does in all of our lives. And so if you are in a dark night of the soul in terms of anger in your motherhood, um, one day, one day, if I can say this, I know one day you will say this, you will look back and not say, I wish I had never gone through that, but rather, thank you, Lord, that you allowed that in my life. Because now, look, like a ministry was born out of it. I
Right.
can empathize with other moms because of it.
Mhm.
And so it's not wasted. It's not wasted, and that is just our hope as believers. None of it's wasted, whether we see that here or in the life to come
Yeah.
when he makes all things new.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes, he redeems it all.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that. Okay,
Yeah.
so for those following here, go and make sure that you go and follow Olivia at Not So Angry Mom. And then be sure to check out her resources because that is what I mean. I know for me, I love creating resources where you can take something and
Mm-hmm.
actually, read or put something into practice. And so, like she said, she's got some great resources that come from her heart. And you see more into her heart right now just from our conversation. And we all have a story to share, like you said. And when we can help others in that journey because we've experienced it, that empathy is so huge, right? Because there's lots of
Mm-hmm.
places we might be able to go seek um, tips, but when we have the backstory of somebody that experienced something very similar to where we are at, that holds so much power to be able to just have a relatability part. So, so
Yeah.
I thank you
Yeah.
for being brave and being
Mm.
vulnerable because I think this topic of anger and motherhood and moms losing our temper, it's just not
Mm-hmm.
talked about because it's frowned on, and so
Mm-hmm.
like you said, bringing it to a friend, bringing it into the light, right, where then it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have that place that it can empower over you. And so good, such
Yeah.
good tips.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I hope this reaches the mom. And I know the Lord will get
Yes.
this into the hands of
Yes,
the mom it should.
for sure.
And so then I will want to have you on my spaces so we can talk about your amazing planner and
Sure.
how it's also such a help to the young mom
Mm.
and homemaking and ordering life a bit more so we're not so bonkers in a busy
Right.
season. So,
I
hmm
mean, I think there's power, right? How even you said when you are, putting your staging. I love that word, staging, for the dinner prep, because that's some of the time during the day that can be the most stressful for us
hmm
moms, right? And
hmm
so,
hmm
always thinking a little bit of ahead. What can I do? My friend Leslie has this saying, what can I do now that my future self is going to thank me for? And so that,
hmm
staging things, I saw it in your
Yeah.
stories. I think it was Saturday night, staging for Sunday morning, because obviously
Mhm,
that's a really
mhm,
busy, time for you.
mhm,
And
mhm.
so what always can we be thinking about? What can we do ahead of time that our future self is going to really be like, oh, good job. It was so helpful, right?
Yes.
So
Yes, yes, absolutely. I'm a huge advocate.
yeah, I loved that. So,
Mhm,
all right, you guys,
mhm.
thank you so much for coming on. This was good. I know we tried to do it a couple weeks ago and then we all got the
Yeah.
crud. So we were like, okay, we're going to
Yes.
reschedule this. So
I know.
this was
It's like
great.
so
So,
mom life. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Exactly. So, and if
Thank
you
you,
guys are
Susan.
watching now, this is on my timeline. I tagged
Mhm,
Olivia as well. So, yes, you can come back and watch it again, maybe even share it with a friend, that you
mhm,
think might be helped by a few of the tips that were shared. But anyway, thank
mhm,
you so much for
mhm.
your time. I really
Yay.
appreciate it, friend.
Thank you, Susan. Such a
All
joy. Okay, blessings,
righty. Have
friends.
a great one.
Bye.
Bye
You
bye.
too. Bye.